Good afternoon. Happy Thursday. Hey, we're going to switch things up here a little bit for this weekly webinar, and we're going to start with the question of the week. So we had a great question come in from Tim. I want to thank you, Tim, right out of the gate for submitting the question. And check your inbox actually for a coffee on us for submitting such a good question here this week. So we'll jump right into it. Tim's question is really all about crypto and what this means, how this may or may not play a role in your portfolio, and whether or not it may be something to consider. So what I wanted to share is that, with any of these cryptocurrencies, the truth is it is speculative. There is not a lot of value behind it. It is speculative in nature in terms of hoping that one day it will be seen as more of a true currency. That's not a bad thing. I just want to clear that up right out of the gate, that there is some speculation behind the value of these currencies at this point, backwards, and obviously moving forward as well. So that is the very first thing to touch on. Now, again, there's nothing wrong with that necessarily, as long as you understand that there is some speculation involved in this, and that you are using monies that maybe are a little you may be okay with losing or potentially seeing a big drop in because of that speculative nature. So, I think the thing behind this is what's starting to happen now is, as we've seen so much of this money in the economy, things are getting so frothy. We're starting to see all these different coins come out, right? The Doge coins, all these different, I forget what they call them, joke coins, basically. And I think it really reminds me of a time. Do you remember 2001, right? Think back to 2001, the internet stocks at that time. We had all these stocks just blowing up. Didn't matter what it was, didn't matter who it was, didn't matter if they had any money coming in, but every internet stock was going crazy. Pets.com, some of you may remember that, right? That stock was just going nuts in 2001, and very quickly all went downhill. So the reason I bring that up is that I think what we're starting to see is we have all these different coins come out. There may be a place for crypto in the future, but I don't personally know that I would feel confident in saying all of these coins are going to be around forever, or maybe for very long. So I think that's really important, is that if you do look at this, make sure you're maybe looking at it from a perspective of, what actually has some practical use in the future. All right. So again, I think that's really important. It's not to say that there's anything wrong with the nature of crypto and how you may use it in your portfolio. I just want to point out that it is speculative, that a lot of it may not be around in the future. And we don't necessarily suggest buying any of that in our clients' portfolios because of our kind of disciplined and and thoughtful nature around our investment strategy and philosophy. However, if you feel strongly about it, we wouldn't necessarily have a problem with that. In fact, some of our clients have some on the outside of the portfolios that we help with, where they are using a very small amount, an amount that they have no problem if it goes to zero, and an amount that their retirement is not hinging on. So that's kind of my 2 cents worth on crypto. Again, it's not, I hope this doesn't come out as a negative towards it. It's just, I want to point out the danger behind it and make sure you're aware of, if you are investing in this, how it could play out. So I think it was a really good question. Thanks again so much, Tim, for submitting that here this week. And with that, we can kind of jump into the traditional side of what we cover here each week. And we had a heck of a week this week. We had, interesting jobs data that may have led to a little bit of a wait and see type of scenario. My name, just a quick recap. My name is Brandon Steele, financial advisor with Mainsail. And each week we kind of bring you these market updates here in hopes this is helpful. Hopefully the question of the week was really good this week for you as well. And if you have any questions, you can email us, comment below, send me a message, whatever works best, but reach out and we'd be happy to answer your questions in the weeks to come. With that, let's step back, look at last week's data. So last week on Friday, we had non-farms payrolls come out, and it was quite disappointing. The number was not great. It was 559,000 jobs added for last month, but it kind of was this, we're almost in this weird scenario, and we've been in this before, where when the Fed takes so much control over the situation in the markets, we start to really rely on them, and the markets really fluctuate. They're dictated by whatever the Fed does or does not say. For those who follow us each week, you know that very well. So what happened on Friday is we saw this terrible jobs number, but we're in this weird scenario where it's almost like bad news is good news, because the market may be thinking that because the jobs number was not great, they may not raise interest rates. And so because of that, money's going to stay cheap. Things will see, kind of continue to flow as they have been. So very, very interesting kind of dynamic that we're in. And next Wednesday, the 15th, I believe it is, 15th or 16th, Fed Chair Powell's conference is going to be, press conference will be live. So pay attention to that and see if there's any news out of that. On top of that, we had job openings super, super high, 9.3 million job openings. So I guess my question to you, to maybe ponder a little bit, is what does this mean? Like, what do all these job openings mean to the economy, mean to me, mean to us as a country? And I think what it means is that we're having a very hard time filling jobs, right? We've got a lot of issues with the supply and demand in the job market right now. Obviously we have a lot of people unemployed, but the job openings at 9.3 million show that they're there. They're just not being filled. So we've got a little bit of an issue. So hopefully that can kind of work its way through here in the coming months. On Wednesday, we also had China's producer price index come out. So, think of the producing goods, right? And it rose 9% from a year ago. So how might this affect this kind of supply chain through the rest of the world? China is a big supplier. And so the challenge with this number, it's a huge number, is that we're already seeing inflation. And as that starts to work its way through the system, that may be even more to come. So that will be very interesting to watch and something to really pay attention to in the coming months as well. All right, on top of all that, today, Thursday, we had initial jobless claims come out. It was about 376,000 jobs. So good to see it kind of stay below 400. It's pretty close to where we were last week, but good to see that nonetheless. And more importantly, we had consumer price index come out at 0.6% and core CPI at 0.7%. So again, both slightly higher than expected, and inflation's here. It's coming. Be ready, because next Wednesday, I am sure the Fed will be telling us all about how it's transitory. So get ready to hear that word over and over and over again. So we saw a really light trading week here this week. So the markets really haven't done a whole lot up to this point. I think crypto was down a little bit as the meme stocks kind of picked up. So very, very interesting on that front. And then as we move into next week, again, we have the Powell, Fed Chair Powell press conference. That's a mouthful. And then retail sales on Monday as well. So some good stuff coming here next week. It'll be interesting to see if we're kind of in this wait and see scenario and what the market does or doesn't do as some of those numbers come out. So thank you as always for joining us. If you do have a question of the week, again, this was great here this week. I thought very, very timely given what's going on. You can email us or send me a message, and we hope to help you out and answer those questions in the weeks to come. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you next Thursday at 3.